g'day. Just thought I'd do a quick trader rambles to everyone on Darwinex because it really is a fantastic product offering for both traders and investors. Very, very unique. And the reason for doing this is I've been trading with them since August 2024, slowly building up the product's track record with Darwinex. And that might seem like a long time, but it's not. That's gone very, very quickly. And as of May, it's just ticked over into the Darwinia Gold program. So that opens up the product that I've got to external investors. And it also means it gets a larger allocation of notional funds through their Darwinia Gold allocation program to earn a little bit of income off it as it builds up the track record. And that's something that anyone else can do. So for those that haven't heard of Darwinex before, or you're just not quite sure what Darwinex are about, Darwinex, they're their own regulated broker to start with, but they're also an asset management platform. And there's two sides to it. There's the investor side and the trader side. So if you are an investor looking to diversify out your own portfolio, whether you've fleshed out stocks, property, fixed income, whatever you want, this might be a pretty cool form of alternative investment for you to get into, not financial advice, to diversify out and just earn a bit of passive income off a product that someone has developed. And there's many, many very good traders on this platform. And you can use your own judgment based on the data that Darwinex provides to be able to create your own portfolio based off different trading strategies offered by different traders. And you can also set up your own demo account and practice doing this. You can set up, say, a notional $100,000 demo account, allocate, say, 20 grand of those funds between 5 different traders and just look at it tick away and see how it performs to get a good feel for it. So really, really unique product offering in that regard for the investor side of things. So for those that haven't seen it, this is the investor platform. And this is where you can play around with setting up a dummy account to allocate funds into traders just to see how it tracks over time. And this is a good little tool just to build up confidence before you decide to go in with real funds and build up a bit of an income stream through this avenue. And in this case, this is a demo account, notional account. It was 100,000. It's up at 106 at the moment. You can do this yourself, set up your own dummy account. At the moment, I've got it set to 1-to-3 leverage, which means I can also borrow an additional 200,000 from Darwinex for a total of 300,000 to potentially invest. And over in here, you can set your maximum monthly risk tolerance. And what this, come back, where'd you go? There we go. And what this means is you've got a 1 in 20 chance on a monthly basis of exceeding the maximum risk that you set in here. So I've got $30,000 at the moment, which is 10% of 300,000, the leveraged amount. And so that means 1 in 20 chance that I've, on a monthly basis, may exceed a loss of 10%. So that's how you can play around with the settings in here, tweak that as you will depending on your risk appetite. And what we can do down in here is go to the Explore button. This is a pretty cool UI as well. So it's got different panels where you can look at the essential top 50 Darwins listed on Darwinex. You can look at the most invested, best scores, best returning, etc., etc. It's just a nice way to pull out different Darwins to examine at your own leisure. So let's dive into Essentials and have a look at this dude. So this is what the UI looks like when you open up a Darwin to view within the Darwinex investor platform. So here we've got Darwin CFZ by Patience123. And Patience123, they have a first glance look at their results. Very, very solid. They've been very patient. They've had a 5-year track record. Well done. Really solid results. Equity curve looks really, really nice. What's going on here? That's completely different. That trading behavior stands out like a hat in a shoe shop. What's going on here? Trades with Darwinex since June 2023. I reckon what's going on here is this trader has potentially imported a track record that they've had running externally prior to Darwinex. And this really stands out. So to me, this looks like a classic grid martingale type of strategy before they've launched on Darwinex and they've changed to whatever method they're trading now. That's interesting. Food for thought for later. Moving on. So up here we've got the Darwinex score, and we've got a whole bunch of investable attributes. We've got total investors we can look at, 232 investors at the moment for a total of pushing 6 million AUM. Very nice. And up in here, we've also got a bunch of in-house investable attributes that Darwinex have. Go through what each of these mean in your own time. The main one I'd argue you want to look at is loss aversion. So this is a measure of whether the underlying strategy tends to hold on to its losers for quite a long time. And if a strategy does have a low loss aversion score, that could mean that that is the case. They're holding on to their losers, and that could be an indication that the underlying strategy is using potentially higher risk trading techniques. We can look at a breakdown of different attributes in here as well, so we can dive in and have a look at the assets and timeframes that are being traded. In this case, they've opted to hide it, which is fine, whatever floats their boat. And we've also got a breakdown of different sessions, total trades. That's quite a large sample size so far, 17,000 trades. Looks like it's a day trading methodology, 4 hours and 26-minute average holding time, and they've got a win rate 57.75%. You can have a look at the breakdown of how the investable attribute metrics change over time in this tab. You can look at how investor funds have changed over time. You can have a look at the correlation with different Darwins. Correlation is really important. If you want to build your own portfolio of traders to invest in, it's important to make sure that they've got a low correlation to each other to make sure that your return stream gets stabilized and they don't lose money at the same time as each other. And that's all we really need to go through for now. So let's go and have a look at someone else. Here we are back in the Explorer tab for the Darwinex Investor platform. And while we're in here, one thing that's worth going over is this product here, highlighted in gold. It is the Darwinex Index, ticker INDX. And what this is, it's a basket of hand-picked traders that Darwinex have selected, and these traders had to have met certain metrics to be included within the INDX. And they would have had to have had low correlation with each other as well. And the purpose of this is to provide just a base level entry product for people that are new to Darwinex that provides pretty safe exposure. It'll have low drawdowns to provide a relatively stable income stream. And I think it's unleveraged as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only utilize 1-to-1 and you can't bump that up at all. So it's a low risk entry level type of product. I myself wouldn't use it. I'd go and create my own little basket of traders, handpicked myself. But for those that might not have the confidence in doing that, this is a great option. And I think this maxes out at 50 mil capacity as well. So I think it will be shutting off once it hits 50 million AUM. Let's go on a quick magical journey while we're here and have a look at the rank number 1 Darwin at the moment on the platform, which is SYO. Crazy track record going in here. So SYO has 535 investors with total 17 million AUM, and this is the track record. So very, very strong. And this is something that I would consider, if I was to create my own little dummy portfolio to track over time, I would consider including this within that. And its track record goes back to 2017, so a lot of data backing it. And 2026, it's been pretty consistent as well, given the difficulties so far of trading throughout the year. So this is a really nice result. So well done to the owners of SYO. Absolutely smashing it out of the park. We are back in my Investor Darwin's homepage, and I've got a little challenge for everyone, for those that are willing to partake. I think it's really good practice and it's quite fun overall to do anyway. And that challenge is to create your own dummy portfolio of 5 traders, handpick them yourself, and we'll see over time who can have the strongest set of results. And what we can do to make sure that everyone is benchmarked is to make sure that we all start with a 100,000 balance, make sure that we're using leverage level 3, and let's make sure our maximum risk in here is set to $30,000. And for each trader that you select, we are going to allocate $60,000 to each. So 1/5 of that total 300,000 we are going to split between each of those 5 traders. I'm going to do mine as well from scratch, so I will blank slate my account and handpick a completely different set of 5 traders to go off. You can pick these if you want, or pick your own. And how you can pick and invest in each Darwin is once you're in Explorer, and you can use filters if you want to help narrow down some nice Darwins that you want to invest. Once you find one that you like, all you need to do is click on trade once you're in the Darwin, and it will open up this little pop-up window. Type in 60,000 and then make it a market order and select buy. And then that Darwin will land in your invested Darwin's portfolio. So do that for 5 different traders. And let's see how it tracks over time. It's quite a fun little project to do. As you are building your dummy portfolio with notional funds, something that you will want to do as you are picking your Darwins is to go down into this portfolio risk tab. And in here, you can have a look at how correlated the Darwins are within your portfolio to each other. So these numbers in here are the correlation coefficient within the correlation matrix, and you can see the Darwin ERQ has a 0.46 correlation with SUG, and that is really quite high. So ideally, you want to try and have this at, say, 0.2 or lower. Otherwise, in this example, ERQ and SUG will have return streams that match each other, so they will be earning at the same time, and also on the flip side, they can be losing at the same time, and you want to try and not have this happening to stabilize equity curves over time. So keep this in mind when you are creating your dummy portfolio. And once it's done, you can dive up into this investment tab and begin tracking it on a month-by-month basis, see how it goes. So give it a try. Best of luck. Back to the trading side of Darwinex. So here we are in my Darwinex 0 platform, currently dealing with some frustratingly continuous drawdown. I think this is potentially one of the longest sequential drawdown runs that the portfolio has had nearly in its history at the moment. But it'll turn. It's seldom that we have a winning day at the moment, but hopefully over the next couple of months it'll turn a corner and go back on the upward trajectory. However, for the traders side of Darwinex, there's two avenues that you can go down. There is the Darwinex Classic and the Darwinex 0 pathway. And there's some key differences between both, so let's have a look at those. So I've put together a table. It's just a comparison between both Darwinex Classic and Darwinex 0. And the main difference between them really is with Darwinex Classic, you have to put your own funds on the table, so you've got your own capital at risk. And Darwinex 0, on the other hand, you're using virtual equity, so it's a demo account, and there's a cost for doing that. There's a subscription fee. For account balances for Darwinex Classic, this obviously depends on how much you want to put on the table of your own equity, but there are some minimum requirements. So with Darwinex Classic for CFDs, the minimum requirement is €500, whereas if you are going via the stocks or futures path through interactive brokers, there is a 10,000 minimum requirement. So these minimums might push people towards the Darwinex 0 model. And in comparison for Darwinex 0, if you're trading CFDs or crypto, you'll get a $100,000 virtual account. And these aren't linked, so it's important to note you can't have crypto as a part of your CFDs account. So crypto is its own isolated $100,000 virtual account that you have to trade in isolation. And for futures and stocks and ETFs, you've got a $1 million demo account, which you get given to trade. We've gone over a little bit of the minimum cost requirements for Darwinex Classic in terms of deposits. However, with Darwinex 0, we've mentioned there is a subscription fee for having the privilege of building a track record with virtual capital, and that's at a cost of roughly €45 minimum per month. And this amount varies a little bit depending on what you are trading, and it also depends on what subscription model you are using. So that's ballpark where that cost lands for using the virtual account within Darwinex 0. This next point is a bit of a make or break for a lot of people, because to go through the Darwinex Classic option, there are country restrictions that apply. For example, for the USA, where CFDs are banned, because Darwinex Classic, you are going through essentially a CFD brokerage. So you'll have to check this depending on which country you live in, because some jurisdictions have pretty tight requirements on trading CFDs. But going through the Darwinex Classic option, you've obviously got to go and do your full know your client requirements. They are FCA regulated, so they're out of the UK Financial Conduct Authority. In comparison with Darwinex 0, it is open to anyone because it's trading on virtual capital. It's worldwide. There's no KYC documents. And so this can include those tighter jurisdictions such as USA, Canada, and Japan. Both Darwinex Classic and 0 are eligible to participate in the Darwinia program. And how this works is once you open an account under Classic or Darwinex 0, you have to first go through a calibration phase, And that I think is like 14 or 15 days. And that just gives Darwinex the opportunity to assess how your trading methodology or strategy behaves. And from that, they can then apply the internal Darwinex risk engine to modify the risk on your account so that everyone is on a level playing field. And from that, once you pass the calibration phase and Darwinex knows what risk modifier to apply to your account, it will then get pulled into Darwinia Silver. So for full transparency, I'll give you an idea of what can potentially be earned from these allocations. So for this account, I've had a total of 300,000 of Darwinia allocation received. And on top of that, I've also had 100,000 of permanent allocation, and which is unfortunately an option that's no longer available. Instead of permanent allocation, they've now created a system called booster allocations, and that's where you can purchase allocation and earn profits off that. However, there is a time aspect as well. So for example, you might purchase an extra 100,000 euro of allocation to trade with. However, that might be only available for 6 months. So you have to do a bit of back-end calculation now to see what's worth it for your own circumstance in terms of the boosters. Unfortunately, it's not as efficient as the permanent allocations, but it still might be a way for you to earn a little bit more out of Darwinex. In terms of allocations, let's dive into here. So full transparency, the amount that I've had so far is 3,651 euro paid out. And here is the permanent allocation. So a large portion of that was from the permanent allocation. And this has been grandfathered, so the people that did have permanent allocations get to keep it. Whereas unfortunately, going forward, people will have to go the booster allocation option, which does have a time limit. And then there is still the Darwinia allocations that you receive for your participation in Darwinia Silver or Darwinia Gold. So for example, I've got 90,000 euro of allocation under the Darwinia Silver program, which is now ticked over into Darwinia Gold. And that's had 1,000 euro earned off that. So you can use these fees to cover the cost of the subscription fee for Darwinex Zero, plus a little bit extra, so you can go and, I don't know, buy an ice cream or something with the remainder. So let's say you've been in Darwinia Silver and you've got a decent return to drawdown ratio going, you've got a good profit factor, and you've also been trading for more than 8 months. You might then be eligible to be upgraded into Darwinia Gold. And if you meet the right criteria and you get upgraded, you get an opportunity to have a higher percent of seed allocation given to your account for a little reward. And it also means that your Darwin, excitingly, opens up to investors under their FCA framework. And this is a really, really big thing. There's not many opportunities out there like the one that Darwinex offers to have your track record presented to investors for them to invest under a wrapped product within a regulated environment. So this is really the essence of Darwinex and why it's such a good product offering. So to run an example with some numbers, let's say you've made it into gold. Congratulations. You've got a good track record going and now you have $1 million of investor funds under management. Let's say hypothetically you are earning 1.5% per month. So off that million AUM, you are earning 15,000 per month. From that 15,000, you earn a 15% profit split. So that's 2,250 euro that would then get paid out to yourself. And that is also on top of any Darwinia allocation performance that you receive. So you can see how it starts to scale up over time. And obviously, the more AUM that you receive from investors and the more AUM that you have from Darwinia allocation, that's notional funds, the more that you'll get paid out. So Darwinex really, it rewards long-term performance. And this is just one feather that you can have in your cap as a trader. So it's important to really diversify out with platforms where you can for income streams and of course trading your own capital as well. So not only you might have Darwinex running on the side, you might also have prop firms or other managed funds through other external licensed avenues. And you can see how when you pull all the profits from this together, how things can really start scaling up quite quickly. And Darwinex, I think, is a really important part of being able to do that. And the earlier you start, the better. I think we've pretty much touched on these last 2 points anyway. For investor access for Classic and Zero, you need to have landed in Darwinia Gold. There's certain metrics that you have to have met performance-wise to be able to do so, and that is inclusive of having a minimum 8-month track record going. So the earlier you can begin a track record, obviously, the better. And the good thing is once you land in gold, your investor access stays open. So if your performance metrics decay and you get downgraded back into the Darwinia silver pool, you still get to maintain your investor access, which is a nice little bonus. And performance fees we've gone over, so any performance fees that you earn based off your investor AUM or from your Darwinia allocations, that's 15% that's paid out to you on the profits that you earn off those two. So before we call it quits, we'll see what else we can go over, something that might be meaningful. Let's dive into this Darwinia tab. So in here we can see an overview of the top Darwins over the last month and who ended up receiving rank number 1 for each of the Darwinia Gold and Darwinia Silver allocation pools. So if we go into Darwinia Silver, we can see the Darwin over the last month of May that got top allocation spot was CHU, so they received 375,000 euros of allocation with a rating of 97.1. So well done to that trader. They will now earn profits off whatever's earned from this 375,000. And for Darwinia Gold, PWZT got number 1 spot from the last month, and they now have 500,000 euro of allocation. So there's less people within Darwinia Gold because that's the second tier, the upgraded tier compared to Darwinia Silver. And so obviously you get a larger share of the pool of funds that's allocated within Darwinia Gold. So let's have a look at this guy's track record, just out of curiosity. If it's going to load, here we go, PWZT, click in the right spot. So track record for JMHFX, ranks number 1 in Darwinia Gold. Really solid track record. It is a little bit on the short side, but obviously still a lot of skill involved there to get it to this stage, particularly if he's got a bit of a larger sample size going on with his trading. This looks like a really stable, proper equity curve as well, so good on this person. So at the moment he's got 298,000 of assets under management, and that may or may not be including investors. Let's see if there's a way we can quickly check. Here we go, investor capital. It is, so he's got 5 investors currently for $62,000 under management. And on top of that, he's got his Darwinia allocation that he's earning from. So good on you, JMHFX from Darwin PWZT. The very, very last thing I should go over is down in here, we've got the Darwinex risk multiplier. So I mentioned before, when you go through the calibration phase, the Darwinex risk engine will apply a multiplier to your trading so that everyone's pretty much on a level playing field with their trading. And in my case, I've had the risk engine pretty much apply a factor of 0.6 to 0.65 throughout its entire history. And the more stable you're trading and the more consistent you're trading, the less this will move around. And a lot of people place a lot of focus on the risk engine and trying to make this multiplier higher, but really it doesn't make a difference. As long as your trading's consistent, I wouldn't worry at all about trying to game the system with adjusting your risk multiplier. So just trade consistently and just let it do its thing in the background and you'll be fine. So if you did get something out of this, Trader's Ramble, it's me going on about Darwinex for, I don't know, what are we at? 20 minutes or something now? Probably getting a bit excessive. But if you did get something out of it, don't forget to like and subscribe and join up to the Discord channel we've got going. And also join up to the Darwinex Discord channel. If you end up participating in Darwinex, there's a lot of good banter that happens in there. So until next time, catch you later.